What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to episode 13 of our 30-part series on every single GMAX Pokemon. In this series, my guests and I go in-depth on every Gigantamax Pokemon out there. We'll be covering their stats, move pools, abilities, potential teammates, impact on the Sword and Shield competitive meta, and in the end, give it a ranking. Once the series is over, I'll be making a video covering the top 10 GMAX Pokemon in Sword and Shield. Last week we covered GMAX COALOSSAL. If you missed it, GMAX COALOSSAL is one of the worst GMAX Pokemon. However, we covered it with Shuckle King, one of the best Draft League players. And today, we are covering GMAX Orbeetle with another one of the best players in the entire Draft League community. He is the commissioner and Season 1 champion of the Gallery Defenders League and coach of the Durham Druddigons, SixFtHax. How's it going, Leo?
Good. Boss of YouTube, aka What's Up YouTube. If I drown, blame it on Matt because I don't know how to swim. But yeah, what's up? How's it going? Glad to be a part of this. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. And if you do, leave a like, subscribe to Matt, and yeah.
I'm just going to say, that was like top one intro for a guest I've had in the series so far. That's awesome. You drown? I love that.
Thanks. Hey, I've been doing this for a while now, so just check the stuff out.
Fair enough. All right, well, I mean, if you guys are excited for the video, like Leo said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Leo's link will be in the description, so make sure to check those out as well. But as always, we start like this. Leo, what is your favorite thing about GMAX Orbeetle?
I really love the design, just because it's a giant spaceship, so it kind of reminds me of aliens. Also, it's really, really fat, like its bulk is amazing, so I think that's pretty much it. Just the design and its stats. Its
bulk is really amazing, and when you give it that extra boost in HP, it just adds so much to it, because right now its weakness in its stats is that HP at base 60. You already got 110 defense, 120 special defense. Like, this thing is taking hits for days, even though it's got a pretty iffy typing, right?
Yeah, its typing could be a little bit better, and obviously, as you mentioned, its HP stat. But still, though, the when it Gigantamax is being able to double that HP stat just makes that bulk so much better. And then from there, it also gets damage output boost, which is also immensely helpful for it to be able to take down offensive mons or just defensive mons in general.
It's a really strong Pokemon pretty much all around, except for its physical attack. Its special attack at base 80 kind of just gets the job done, and I will say it would be a bit better if it had a better move pool. Looking at the move pool, was there anything that you noticed that it's just missing from its moveset? Do you think it should have a different typing of moves, or do you think it's kind of good enough for where it is?
Oh, easily the biggest thing is that if you're not running body press, which honestly body press on this, even though it is physical, because it does damage off of its defense, I mean, it can still do damage to steel types, but typically you're not going to want to run that on GMAX Orbeetle just because you want to focus on its special side more often than not. But besides body press, it really doesn't get anything at all to hit steel types or bulky fire types for that matter, which is a little bit upsetting. Like, it does get access to Calm Mind to try and do damage with boosted hits, but like, yeah, like Psychic's doing good damage, but still fire types and steel types are kind of really the biggest things, the biggest issues for this Pokemon.
I completely agree. I feel like this Pokemon kind of missed out a lot on what special coverage it gets, and I guess part of that is because it has really good boosting moves, got amazing bulk, and when you Gigantamax just adds to that, but its only special coverage is Bug, Grass, Psychic, Ghost, and Normal. That's it. So you really don't have a lot of options there, and I guess if you are running body press on the set that you are Gigantamaxing, you're not clicking it when you're Gigantamax because you don't want to rely on that 45 base attack stat. But at the end of the day, it provides you a lot more than just offense, and even though you can't use these moves in Gigantamax form, Sticky Web, Recover, Iron Defense, Calm Mind, you have so many different options here. Trick Room and Trick as well are very useful, so you have that as well, just in the back to use your Max Guard as well, so that's always a positive.
Yeah, also U-Turn, like, is nice too because you can lure out those like bulky fire types or steel types and then be able to bring in something else to potentially try and deal with that Pokemon that came in to deal with Orbeetle itself, which is actually really handy because if you pair this up with like maybe Dugtrio per se, you can U-turn out on the steel type, fire type, bring in Dugtrio, trap it, and then from there your opponent's lost one potential answer to Gigantamax Pokemon, which is absolutely insane. We all know at this point Gigantamax is pretty much broken. So if you lose a dedicated answer to a GMAX Mon, then you're instantly at a huge disadvantage.
Absolutely, and you listed already one teammate, so looking at other Pokemon, what are some roles or some types that you want filled on your team when you have a GMAX Orbeetle? Let's try and make it the star. What are you drafting alongside it?
Like I said, you need something for steel types and fire types. So obviously you want your bulky ground potentially, or something that can trap, as I mentioned, Dugtrio can trap those fire types or steel types, or if you wanted a more like bulky water type, you could probably go like Vaporeon, Seismitoad, even Gastrodon would be pretty cool just because those water types can typically deal with most steel types and fire types. Another big thing about it too is that you want to get hazard removal. Obviously, Orbeetle being a bug type, it is weak to Stealth Rocks, which even though, yeah, heavy duty boots is a thing in Pokemon, most draft leagues, if they do have Gigantamax captains, then they can only typically hold a Pokeball. So Orbeetle will be taking that 25%. So some good hazard removal is always really good. Maybe something like Corviknight. Corviknight, probably one of the best hazard removals in draft league format. Maybe something like Excadrill 2 and something with default. Even something like Zatood, even though, yeah, I guess you do get the double psychic. That's not necessarily the worst thing ever either. So yeah, hazard removal is very huge. Definitely something for fire types and steel types as well. I guess something for like bulky normal types, but you should always draft something for those. So a good fighting mon is also really nice to have potentially paired up with Orbeetle.
Those are all really good options. I actually have a couple of my own that I think are really underrated. I mentioned this one a lot because it just fits so well on a lot of different teams. Hydreigon is incredible. It fills a role of a really good dark type that appreciates Orbeetle taking those fighting type hits for it, which is really useful. It also forms a solid U-turn core amongst the two of them, which can be really valuable to not only bring in each other, but bring in other threats on your roster. I love Crocodile as well. It's another dark type that appreciates Orbeetle taking the fighting type hits, gives you access to hazards, and on top of that, it beats the steel and fighting types that you were talking about, which is absolutely incredible. And then I also feel like a really solid type to have on the team is a fairy type that doesn't necessarily have to be offensive. Again, these fighting type hits, I keep bringing it up, but it's super important. Fighting is one of the best types in the game, and fairy types usually want to be the type of Pokemon that are going to take those hits. So if you get a more offensive fairy, something like a Zoomerl, Primarina, Grimmsnarl, you'll be able to really make those fairies a lot more offensive like they want to be sometimes, instead of more of a supportive or defensive Pokemon like they usually are being run.
Yeah, so even though this is 4 times resistant to those fighting moves, the coverage is always annoying. So yeah, Bulky Fairy, also really nice to have for Orbeetle. Plus, something pretty cool is that if you were to pair it with something like Vaporeon, you can pass wishes into this to ensure it's always healthy, which is always really, really handy. Even though wish is not necessarily needed all the time, being able to keep Orbeetle healthy is still a really good thing because it just gives it that chance to eventually come in whenever you have the chance to set it up. Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Agility even, then GMAX, and just start bodying through the rest of your opponent's team.
Now, we did mention the moves really quickly, and one thing I did forget to mention was GMAX Gravitas. I find it's such a huge shame that this thing doesn't get access to a move that sets terrain. Like, if this move was the bug move, great, I'd be cool with it, but because it's the psychic move, it really takes away a lot of the damage that Orbeetle would be putting out.
Yeah, that's another big letdown too. As you said, if it had the psychic terrain option, it would be so much better. But yeah, GMAX move's not really that great, honestly, which is a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but I mean, at this point, you have a GMAX Pokemon on your team. You should be in a good spot regardless. But you did mention it earlier, the GDL is one of the leagues that is allowing GMAX captains, and the rule that we have in place is that you must hold a Pokeball or some type of Pokeball related item on your Gigantamax Pokemon. I know that's the way you feel it should be with Gigantamax Pokemon, but if you were allowed to hold any item you wanted on Orbeetle, give me 1 or 2 items you would use on this thing consistently.
I actually thought about that for a while, honestly. I think a big one immediately would be heavy duty boots, obviously, just to ensure you're not taking Stealth Rocks damage, because that 25% is honestly so huge. That's a big difference from living 2 hits or potentially even 3 hits, which that extra life is another free turn that you get to either recover or set up, which if it's a setup option, then you're just making GMAX even scarier. Another one is weakness policy. Because of the great bulk that Orbeetle has, this coming in at full HP, if you remove the hazards, should easily live any type of super effective hit. And then along with weakness policy, if you have like agility, you're doubling your speed, you're getting that +2 in special attack, you're GMAXing the next turn, and then things are going to be dropping regardless, which is really awesome. Another nice item is the very obvious leftovers, like that extra little bit of recovery every single time is still really good, even in GMAX form. Although they don't get like 6% of their total HP, right? I think it's lesser. So that little bit of recovery is still pretty good. And then another one could potentially be a weakening berry, any type of weakening berry, just so you can have that chance to always guarantee a setup. Yes, as I mentioned, its bulk is really good, but then there are those Pokemon that could be like Specs or Life Orb, or if they're set up already, then you can take a hit in your normal form, set up, then Gigantamax, or if you know that you can't knock it out in your normal form and you need to get rid of that super effective offensive mon, you tank the hit, because of your berry when you're GMAX and then knock it out. So yeah, berries, heavy duty boots, leftovers, and weakness policy. I think those are 4 amazing items that would make Orbeetle so much better as a GMAX mon, in my opinion, honestly.
I'm not gonna lie, man. When you said boots and weakness policy, I was like, this guy stole my ideas. Really? So those are the 2 best ones by far, in my opinion. Leftovers is great, yes, but you already are getting back 50% of your recovery when you're going for recover, which is a pretty staple move on Orbeetle, in my opinion. Boots just changes the game for so many different Pokemon, and Orbeetle is included in weakness policy. Weakness policy, agility, like you said, store power. Add that to it. Very scary, right?
It's disgusting, yeah. Like, just thinking about it, man, just with items, it would be so much better. So much better.
We gotta get you in a league with items. We gotta see what happens.
Oh, I would have fun with that. I'd definitely get Orbeetle then.
All right, well, at this point, we've covered pretty much everything. I think except for, like, abilities, but I mean, its abilities aren't that great. Like, it's Frisk. You're gonna run Frisk.
I love Frisk. Frisk is probably my all-time favorite ability.
The information that Frisk provides is super important. It could be kind of useless depending on the game, but at the end of the day, just having that extra bit of security that you know, okay, this thing is scarfed, okay, this thing is, I don't know, maybe it's a soft sand instead of a choice band or whatever. So that's just very useful to have.
Yeah, any type of information is always good, just so you can eliminate the randomness.
All right, well, at this point, we've covered everything. And we need to give it a ranking, though. So, Leo, from 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute best of the best, considering that no Pokemon, no GMAX Pokemon can use items, where would you rank Orbeetle?
No items. I love Orbeetle, but with no items. I want to be generous and give it like a 6, but, man, no items. Just 5.5. I don't know. I would say 5, like 5. 5 or 6.
So you're not being generous, but I am. I'm giving it a 6 straight up. This thing is incredibly bulky with 60 HP, doubling that, and with 110 defense and 120 special defense. It becomes so much bulkier. And honestly, even if you don't use this as your, I guess, offensive GMAX Pokemon, which is the type that I really like to draft. I'm saying that as I have Corviknight in GDL, but this thing can stall out turns of opposing GMAX Pokemon, and that is incredibly valuable because most likely you're going to be running one variant of Max Guard on your Orbeetle set. So I think taking that into consideration, you can be a much more, I guess, unusual type of GMAX Pokemon, and I think Orbeetle is really cool in that regard.
Yeah, it can definitely be both offensive and defensive in itself. Even though most of the time it will be especially offensive, it's still nice to have those options of like Trick Room, Sticky Webs, Dual Screens, even U-Turn for momentum is really nice. And then as Matt said, this can function as a defensive answer to other offensive Gigantamax Pokemon, which is still very viable in itself. And then from there, if it's GMAX afterwards, it can have that one free turn to potentially get a KO, which is still very huge, especially if you're getting rid of any type of Pokemon on your opponent's team.
Well said. And at this point, you guys have heard everything that we have to say about GMAX Orbeetle, and now I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what Pokemon you would want to pair with GMAX Orbeetle the most, and you'll have a chance to be featured on next week's video. If you guys want to learn more about other GMAX Pokemon, feel free to check out the other videos in the series. The link is in the description and in the cards at the top of your screen. If this is the first time you guys have seen any one of my videos, consider subscribing. You've already made it to the end of the video, which is an accomplishment, so congratulations. And of course, don't forget to like the video as well. Next week, we're covering GMAX Sandaconda, finally, after like 10 episodes of it being up for the vote, which is going to be incredible. And if you guys want to vote for episode 15, your options are GMAX Butterfree and GMAX Grimmsnarl, so vote while you get the chance. Thank you for joining me today, Leo. I'm actually incredibly happy and honored that you decided to come onto the channel today, so make sure that you tell everyone where they can find you and tell them what you got going on right now.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me on here. I know I should have been here probably sooner, but yeah, my YouTube will be down in the description below. I'm uploading 2 leagues right now, GDL Season 2 that I run, which Matt is a part of. I'm also in BBR Season 2, which I think you're in too, right?
I got the other Urshifu.
Yeah, dude, I want sure Urshifu. It's fine, though. But yeah, in GDL, BBR being uploaded on my channel. Gonna try and sprinkle in some Showdown lives and stuff and more uploads. Basically, if you've known my channel beforehand, you know I wasn't too active earlier in this year, late last year, but kind of made a little resurgence here. Hopefully gonna keep up the momentum. And yeah, check me out. Channel link stuff will be down below. Leave a like, leave a comment about Orbeetle and how awesome it is.
Of course, all of those links will be in the description. And I do want to say before you go that 4 years ago, before I started doing all this YouTube stuff, I would have honestly never expected to have, 1, be competing against you, and 2, have you as a guest on my channel. And it's just incredible the stuff that this community can do. So again, I really appreciate you coming on, and I've been watching your stuff for a long time. So it's really cool that I've been able to have this opportunity with you. So thank you.
I'm not crying. It's okay. No, thank you.
All right,
Thank
well-
you, man. Thank you for the
I mean, I guess
comments.
that's it, all right? Well, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys all on the next one.
Bye.